over the next couple of days we'll be installing this filter. So if you want to see what it is and how we're doing it, then stay tuned. Right, welcome back everyone. We are on the next job. This is going to be a filter strip out and we are installing a new filter. So let's spin you around and we'll show you what we're doing. Quite a large pond, I'd estimate it to be around 3,500 gallon. It's got some big old koi in there. Used to have a few more, but they've lost a few over the years. And the water level's down because she's actually left it from when she has been doing the filter cleans, because she knew we were coming over, because we're changing out to a new style filter system to help them out, just make life a bit easier. So we'll take you around and show you what filter system it's currently running on. When I walked around this morning, it's a blast from the past. There's the old style filters. To be honest with you, that they worked absolute wonderful. They were just, the maintenance is, it's not so much it's high maintenance because they'll run for ages before they actually fill up with waste, but the when you do have to do the maintenance, there's a lot involved. So we've got the vortex there, and then it flows out the vortex and into one of the old big multi-bay filters. And as I say, I mean, they are massive, there's no doubt about it. They're definitely not space saving. So we're going to get this changed out for something much more modern, more efficient, and the main thing is it will be a lot smaller and a lot easier for the customer to clean out. So just a quick note to everyone: if you are purchasing a new filter, whether it's a Nexus, drum filter, or anything else, being as they're quite large, make sure you've got the access. Now on this one, this gate here, absolutely fine, no problem. We can get it down the side here, plenty of room. I'm going to move these ladders and stuff to get it through. But then we come to this, and it is far too narrow. So what we are going to have to do is take this post out, take some of the trellis work down, and then we can get it through. So we've got the two biggest fish out there in the vat, so with oxygenators. They're only going to be in there for a short time, so they'll be absolutely fine. We take the big fish out to start off with before we drain too much water down, because when the water gets very low, trying to sock a large koi out is going to be hard work. So we'll carry on draining down, and then the smaller fish can come out when they're in shallower water, so they don't get away from us too easy. The water's now low enough for us to get the smaller fish out. So I'd always recommend using the sock net just so you don't damage any of the fish. So I'll grab the waders on, I'll jump in, Paul will do the netting, and then we'll sock net them over. Pond's now fully empty and we've drained it all down. Paul started with the jet wash. Unfortunately, there's that many different strains of algae, and I nicknamed this one carpet algae because it sticks like a carpet to the liner. And you do have to be very careful because you can actually damage the liner because it sticks that much trying to get it off. First day on the job done. We've moved the vortex now. The filter, it hasn't been cleaned for years and it was absolutely filthy. But we've vaxed it all out, got it all clean. There was brushes in there, jack matting in there, and then they've got bio K1 and K3 media in there, which we'll get that out tomorrow. And then we're going to have to chop this up, unfortunately, because it's the only way to get it out of here. Now finished with all the jet washing. Now it's all clean. We can just see down here, there's a hole here in the liner. So we'll get that fixed and repaired. There's a couple of key things when we're doing that. Use scouring pad to thoroughly clean it. We need to get all the algae off there. And then once we've done that, we can use the Firestone Quick Prime Plus. We use this when we're joining big liners, and once it's all joined and patched over, it will be as strong as the original liner. Quick update on where we're at. We've got the filter all out. The old one's gone. We also use the still saw, and then we always water cool it so that we don't get the fiberglass fibres flying everywhere, because that's not good for you. So that's all been chopped up, and we'll get the base down for the new filter. And this is it. Unfortunately, the only way to get it out, as I say, was cutting it all up, so it will all be skipped. It's like a pipe graveyard around there. Loads of old pipe and bits and pieces come out. A few tubs of K1 media. But we'll start getting it set up for the new filter. Well, not everything goes to plan. If you remember, there was a post there that we needed to take out to get the filter through, as the gap was too tight, and unfortunately it was a bit rotten. So as soon as we tried to crack some of the concrete out and wiggle the post, it snaps. So new post, get that fitted tomorrow. We now have the basin that the filter is going to be sitting on. We have, the only reason why we've actually raised it up on blocks is just to make the maintenance a bit more easier for the customer. We don't want it to have to be bending over, getting down into the tank. So the higher we can get that up, the easier it'll be. Obviously, if you are doing a base for any filter to sit on, just make sure that you're nice and plump, because once they're full of water, they will have a lot of weight in there, and the last thing you want to do is split or warp the tank. And this is it. The filter we've chose to install is the Oase BioTec ScreenMatic 145,000. Now, I appreciate for the avid koi keeper, this may not be your first choice on filtration. And if you are looking at having either A, high stocking levels, B, feeding very heavy, and C, trying to get maximum growth out of your koi, then I'd definitely upgrade to something such as the Oase ProfiClear drum filter. But in this situation, unfortunately, the lady's husband's been diagnosed with dementia, and she was really struggling to keep on top of the pond and keep on top of maintaining the filter because it was so big. Now, this filter will offer a much smaller, compact, easier cleaning solution to that. There are some key features on it which I'll run through with you now. Firstly, we didn't want anything too complex on the cleaning process. We didn't want to have to remember to open and close loads of different valves and shut things off. So this is a relatively straightforward, easy cleaning process. Secondly, apart from the electronic motor that drives the belt, there's no other electronic components on here. So going forward, she's got peace of mind that she won't have to change anything. The third and final thing, which is probably one of the most important things on this, which makes it ideal for this situation, is if she doesn't get round to cleaning it due to other commitments, then she doesn't have to worry, because these have a built-in overflow and bypass system. So once the sponges can't take any more water passing through them, if they get clogged, the tank will slowly fill up with water, but then it will go directly into the bypass system and back to the pond. Therefore, the fish will be absolutely fine until she can get round to cleaning it. What we'll do now is we'll take a look at the filter in more detail, and I'll show you exactly how they work. So apologies, some of this will be done one-handed. So this tank is the same tank that you get the Profi drums in. They're absolute solid tank, set to go to either very high temperatures or very low temperatures. You'll never have a problem with any warping or splitting or anything else. As I say, they're very, very robust. Unfortunately, with that, they are very heavy to carry, so it wasn't nice getting it all the way down the garden. But anyway, it's here now, we've done it. We've then got the lid over there, which is, again, that comes, it's the same type of lid you would get on the drum filters. We've got extra the Bitron 110 UV, and the beauty with this is that it will bolt straight onto these holes here. So it's all nice and encased, all set up as one system. In this box, we've got the parts, which is the discharge waste valve that will go on the bottom. We then have the fittings for the UV to be mounted on the side. We've got the hose tails for the inlet to go onto the UV. They also, just so they don't get cracked off, they will be screwed onto the lid and their handles, because that lid is also very heavy, so it makes that much easier to lift off. And then this with the rubber seal, which we need to fit on, will be, if I can just go around to it, it will be just down there at that end, and that will be the return to the pond. Right, the Bitron UVs. My honest opinion about these Bitron UVs is I honestly do not think you will find a better UV on the market. The build quality of them is unbelievable. It's lovely having the sight viewing glass there. It's also got the self-cleaning motorized tube in there, which will help keep it nice and clean. The great thing about them as well is you haven't got to get to both ends of the UV. You can literally just take it off from the one end. And as I said, it bolts on, so it's all integrated. It's what I love about Oase. It's all their parts and equipment. It all integrates, and it's all thought of so it can be put in stages and all run seamlessly together. So we've got the instructions in there. I just took that out, but that's some more hose tails just in case you're not putting it onto a filter. Some more hose tails there. What I love about Oase as well, just going back to them, is they send you the Juby clips as well, so you haven't even got to worry about buying additional Juby clips. And then you've got your flow controls. So depending on what size pump you're using, the idea of these is when the water comes in down this end, when the water comes in from down this end, it goes through the UV. But if you're running a very big pump, you can set these, and then what it will actually do is it will allow some of the water to come in and then bypass and go straight into the filter, so you will be getting the correct flow right through here. Obviously the thing with the UV is it needs burn time, so you don't want the water just flying past the quart sleeve, flying past the light, and then it's not really effective. So they're a lovely bit of kit, and as I say, it all integrates seamlessly onto the filter. Now then, I'll just go over briefly with you how this filtration system works. So the water will come in from this. This will be dropping just before the screen. You can see on here, it's got 2 bolts, so you can adjust this. This is the factory set, because you can buy this with a pump as well. So it all comes with the recommended kit size. Being as the customer already has the pump, we haven't got the additional pump to go with it, as there's no need. She's running on a Oase AquaMax Premium, which is absolute ideal. We may adjust this and move it down or up depending on how strong the pump is. But the water will come in, it will then pass through this screen. Once the screen begins to get blocked, there is a sensor on this that will then activate the motor, which will spin this, and all the waste should come off here and drop into this at the end. This is obviously very, very simple. You take that out, chuck away all your solids, job done. So that wants to be done on a regular intervals, just to make sure that it's not filled with loads of solids, and to make sure this has room to work correctly. I'll take this one out now. The motor cable as well, that also has this rubber bung which will slide along the cable, and that rubber bung will lovely fit just into there, just sealing the cable in. Once the water has passed through the screen, it will then allow it to drop down into the sponge chamber. Now this is doing 2 jobs, mechanical and biological filtration. You will get bacteria colonize on here, helping remove your ammonia and nitrites, and also the different sponges. So some of them will be very fine, some of them will be more coarse, so they'll remove different size solids, and that will maintain your clarity on your water. Once the water has passed through the sponges, the only way it can get into the end chamber here is by going through the sponges down to the channel that's at the bottom there, and then it passes into a more biological, which is the phosphorus media that Oase do. This comes in nice cartridges which will hook onto here, and then you can obviously take them out. We haven't unpackaged them yet, but you can take them out and then swill them off as and when you need to. Now this bung, which is actually located on the lid of the filter, which we've removed, this is used for the cleaning process. So once we've installed it, there will be the waste on this. The bung is used to block the waste up. You then allow the tank to fill to just around the just above the sponges, and then it's a very easy process of just putting this on and plunging the sponges down, and what that will do is just squeeze the waste out of them. When you're cleaning these filters, you're not looking at trying to get these sponges as if they're brand new. As long as you're taking a large bulk of the solid waste out of there, then that allows more waste to collect in them. So sometimes if it's soiled heavily, we will actually drain it down, and then repeat the process again. But they are brilliant filters for low maintenance and not having to worry about them. If you don't get chance to clean it, it will continue running. There is the built-in overflow system, so this tank can never, even if the sponges get full of water, solids, and they can't take any more, if the water starts to rise in here, it will just bypass and it will go over these into the biological tank and out through there. And this is the waste trap down at the bottom, so we've got the part and that will bolt onto there, and then you can open that to flush the bottom of the filter. Quick update on where we're at, day 3. The pond is filling, that's slowly getting there, it's going to be a while. You might be able to see over there, we've got an air stone in there now because it was running to the bio chamber in the filter. Now obviously she hasn't got the bio chamber, we can have some air in the pond, and I'd always recommend that because if your pump fails, your fish will survive with oxygen. We've connected up the waste, cable's been put through for the screen, got the media in there. They give you a hook on there as well for the handle to sit on. We've connected up to the return, and then we've got the Bitron all mounted. Always make sure you're using PTFE tape on your joints to make sure they don't drip or leak, and then there's rubber washers that will supply you on there. We've got to do the return going back to the pond now, so we'll get that cut in. It wasn't a great day yesterday, it was tipping it down with rain for a lot of the day, so it slowed us down, so there's still a bit to do today, but we'll get there. Well, after a good old battle with the old post trying to get it out, anyone that's done fencing before, trying to get them old posts out when they're surrounded with concrete is an absolute nightmare, but we got there, cracked it all out. I did make a bit of a faux pas as well because I went off and got the post. We got an 8-foot one and I didn't realise how tall they actually are, so I had to pop back off and get a 10-foot to go in. But it's all back in, painted up, got all the trellis work back on, so that's looking good. Here's the filter all up and running and complete. We had to come out on the waste and we've actually buried the pipe underneath the slabs and gone round, and then it's discharging into a big 4-inch pipe which runs down the bottom of the garden, so they still drain out nice and fast when they're doing the clean on the tank. We've also mounted on the side to make it nice and easy so they can control the pump UV and the screen motor. We mounted that on the side of the filter box, so say it can just be turned on and off when you need to clean and fill the tank, etc. The waste pipe is now all installed, that's returning to the pond. And as I said before, this all bolts on to the filter. Very clear and easy to see when it's dark. You can see it through the video hopefully as well, that's running. It will look like they're flashing because, as I said, there's a rotary mechanism in there that helps make sure that you don't get any algae or anything around the quart sleeve. And that's connected up with 1.5-inch pipe. Can't lie, we did have a little drip there to start off with, but it was just because that wasn't tight enough. And my excuse is Paul tightened that up, so I'll blame it on him. Well, I'll take the lid off and we'll show you the filter running. Filter's all running, as you can see. It's actually picking up some leftover bits of algae in the pond already. And then, as I mentioned, we did end up having to move the sensor. You want the water to be dropping just before it, so that as it builds up with waste, it picks that up on the sensor, which will engage the motor and turn the screen. If you have it way back up here, it's not going to realise that this is getting soiled and that it needs to do a clean. As you can see, the water's dropping down into the sponge chamber, and then that will go through the channel underneath into the bio chamber and then out through the return there. Well, that's us all done on this job. We've left her with some blankie weed treatment because, as I say, you can damage the liner trying to get that algae off, so it's best to just treat it and that should kill it off. I did want a video more today, but unfortunately, due to us having bad weather yesterday, we've just been absolute flat out today and we've only just got it done. So there's a couple of extra bits that we weren't planning to do, but we had to take that post out and get a new post in, so it's just slowed us down a bit. So unfortunately I haven't had time to record everything I wanted to, but it's all gone nice and smoothly. It's all in. We've added a couple of 45-degree angles onto the return over there, so once the pond is full, she'll get a lovely circulation on the pond. Unfortunately, it's not quite full yet because we've had it filling for probably over a day now, and it's still not quite there, but she's going to turn the tap off when it's all full. So we're all done on this one and on to the next job.